Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Comic Source Podcast. I'm your host, Jace, along with my partner from Comic Boom, Rocky. And we're here today with the creative team for what Rocky and I considered far and away the best title in Future State, which is Future State Aquaman. They have many exciting DC projects as well as other independent projects going on. And we could talk to them all day, but we're going to focus a little bit today on Future State Aquaman, what we loved about it. They're going to tell us about their ideas and how it was developed. And we'll tease some other things and what's coming up with Aquaman becoming, and maybe Daniel can tease. We know he has a big project coming up with DC. Unfortunately, going to leave Action Comics, but maybe he can give us a hint of what's to come. So it's our pleasure to welcome writer Brandon Thomas and artist Daniel Sampere to the show. Hey, thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So like I was saying, we Rocky and I both just absolutely loved Future State Aquaman. It just absolutely blew us away. So let's start with you, Daniel. Give us a little bit of history on how you were approached to join this project, and hey, it's this idea of Jackson Hyde and Aquaman's daughter Andy Curry in the future, and the sky's the limit. Tell us how you got involved with the project.
I knew for a long time before that Future State was going to happen, and I was told that I will have a story on that project, so I was really excited about it. First time I thought I was going to have a history that finally didn't made out. But I spent some time thinking that I was going to do that. So in my mind, it was all set, ready for that project. But suddenly, as I said, it didn't work well. And the editor, Andrea Shi, sent me an email and told me that the project was canceled finally, but I had the chance to work on the Aquaman. At the beginning, I was like off guard. I didn't expect that, but I really trust her. She's a great editor, and she told me that this was going to be great. She really wanted to have me on the project, so I trust her and I accepted, of course. And then a few weeks later, I received the first plot by Random with the main story. And when I read that, my mind was like blowing. I was so excited. At the first time, I knew that was something special. I started having crazy ideas with the things he said there. And I remember my girlfriend is not much into comics, but I made her read the plot, and she was like, wow, this feels incredible. So she become really excited with the project also. And well, we start working from there.
Wow, that's fantastic. So what about you, Brandon? I mean, was this always going to be your initial project with Future State? Was going to be doing Aquaman?
I came into Future State probably a little later than other people did. So what happened was I had done a little 8-page Aquaman Frankenstein story for one of the anthologies, and that went pretty well. And I was invited to pitch for the Aquaman Future State book. I did a pitch, I put it together, and they decided at the time, they're like, I don't know what we're doing with Aquaman, because they were in the process of ending the main title. And so the plans were shifting around. So what happened was I wrote Aquaman Future State. I was really excited about it. They're like, we're really excited about it too, but maybe not now. And then what happened was the Batman group contacted me and they wanted me to do an Outsiders thing. And so I'm like, oh, cool. So I'll get to, do Future State. I'll get to go ahead and do the Outsiders. And so while I was doing that, then they came back and they're like, we changed our mind. We want to do Aquaman. We want to do this. Do you still want to do it? I'm like, yeah. So, I got the first, we did the plot first. just to have a good sense of like what the two issues were going to be, because it was really kind of out there. And this happens all the time. You know, the company will come to you and they'll be like, there are no limits. You can do whatever you want to, you know, just like, you know, whatever, you know, it surprised us. And I'm always like, okay, I'm going to take you up on that. So we're going to see if that's actually true. So to their credit, you know, I just pitched them this, you know, crazy future story, cool Andy Curry stuff. And I'm like, okay, we'll see if you're serious about, you know, about that. And, you know, to their credit, they were. And when they told me Daniel was going to do it, I was very, very excited. And Daniel often works with an amazing colorist named Adriano Lucas, who I have history with way back in our Dynamite days when we were doing Voltron. We did a Voltron prequel book that he did the colors for. And since then, I have been like a Adriano super fan, like for life, because I know that, you know, no offense, but I was getting paid almost nothing to write that book. And I know Adriano was getting paid almost nothing to color it, but the amount of effort and artistry that he was putting into this work that I knew, you know, he wasn't making like a ton of money from, it just endeared me to him so much. So to get to work with the two of them together on a book like this was just, it was awesome. So I was very, very excited. And I was afraid, I was like, is Daniel is he gonna be willing to draw like all of this stuff? Because I'm like, I know it's a lot. Like sometimes my scripts are legitimately a lot, and I acknowledge that up front. I'm like, I know this is a lot, but I think if we do it, it'll be amazing. So, you know, that's always how I go into it. And it turned into a great experience. I loved working with Daniel. I also wanted to congratulate him on his new DC exclusive. I don't know if it's a new one or it's an extension, but
yeah, it's the first one
recently. Extension or a new one?
No, it's a new one. It's my first one. Yeah.
Oh, it's your first one. Oh, that's even more exciting. All right, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to mention it as well, Brandon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's so fantastic, because I mean, I know you've filled in, Daniel, on a lot of DC stuff, you know, going back as far as the New 52, and never really had a regular gig. And for me, you kind of leveled up last year, the year before, that Justice League annual. You can see it behind me on my background, that you did in Scott Snyder's run. I just remember, you know, it's in space at the source wall, and just being absolutely blown away by what you did. And you know, again, the colors, and Brandon mentioned Adriano Lucas, who's won our Comic Source Best Colorist Award before. He's just so fantastic.
He is.
A lot of similarities with drawing in space and doing things like the Aquaman future state with things underwater and being able to kind of flow. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. Yeah, it's a nice point. I think what you were mentioning, that I've been long time in not a regular series, jumping from one project to another, has given me the chance to work on a lot of different stuff, you know. So at the end, I ended learning to do a lot of different things. So when I receive a crazy script like the Aquaman, I'm like, okay, it's a new thing, but I'm used to a lot of different crazy things. I have experience in the space and other cosmic stuff, so I think I can make it work. And well, I did my best.
Yeah, is there anything specifically that you do when we're talking about, okay, this scene is underwater? Is there anything that, like, little visual clues that you always make sure to include?
In this book particularly, my focus always was in doing very beautiful visually. I tried to create an undersea world that was beautiful to look at, and strange, and feel like a little alien. And I try to make it beautiful, but at the same time, when I draw the panels, I try always that the storytelling feels smooth and that you can understand easy what's going on. And when the chances come and it's possible to do it, also add some spectacularity and some power to it. I try to keep a balance between these three things: nice storytelling, spectacular, and beauty at the same time. That's where I focus the most when working on this.
Yeah, really, sorry, Rocky, just one quick follow-up, Daniel. When we're talking about that, I guess to go back to Brandon's point earlier, you really need to trust your colorist when you want to have that balance of making it look strange and alien, but have it be beautiful. So the fact that you and Adriana have worked so long and so well together, that must have engendered a feeling of confidence in you that I'm going to put down these lines and Adriana is really going to bring it to life.
Adriano and I have a really close relationship. We've been working like for more than 3 years now, and he's a super nice guy. He really is a super good professional, and he makes everything he can to for the team, not for personal ego. Or he just thinks on the team and the result. So we work really close, and when I have ideas, I talk to him. Maybe we can make this like this or like that, and we work really close. And I think it's the best way to work. It's when the best things happen is when the team is working as a team, you know, not individuals. Yeah, everyone doing their own.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rock. What'd you have?
Yeah. Well, a question for Brandon. With respect. Sorry, a question for Brandon regarding the theme of family is quite powerful with respect to Aquaman, and particularly when we get into Jackson Hyde, he's got somewhat of a, it's fair to say, a dysfunctional relationship with his father, of course, being a super villain. And one of the things that really stands out, and just to draw in your excellent series excellence, you're very good at that father-son dynamic, which I thought was very powerful in the series excellence. It's very powerful. It's one of the things that stands out, what I like the most about it. And I'm curious if you could talk about the power of family as a theme in your approach to Aquaman: The Becoming. And in particular, how do you see the relationship between Jackson Hyde and his father? How would you describe it?
Well, I would say afraid, tense, and they're it's not funny at all, because the father-son relationship in Excellence, unfortunately, is very heavily based on my own relationship with my own father, which took a while for me to get to a place, just comfort-wise, where I was willing to actually kind of, put it out in public. Obviously, it's not like a one-to-one thing, but a lot of the kind of feelings and angst and the things that feel like they're not working in that relationship, I have a very, very intimate understanding of, and I feel like that's why it translates, because it feels true, and it feels lived in, and it feels kind of like there's like kind of like a tragedy to it that I think that a lot of people can understand, that also may have similar relationships that aren't really serving them in the ways that they wish they would. And that's going to be a big part of Aquaman: The Becoming. I mean, Jackson's primary driver in life is not being like his father, to set basically a better example, to set a different path. And this idea of family and acceptance is a huge, huge theme in the series. And it's not lost on him that he has been accepted and embraced so heavily and completely by, Arthur Curry, who basically has every reason in the world to, distrust him, or maybe not even distrust, but not like, I don't know if I want to like mentor like the son of my, like I don't know if I want to do that. But the fact that they have accepted and embraced him, and they allow him to be his own person that has nothing to do with his father, just, it means the world to him. And, as much as I try to get away from the daddy issues in my work, it's just like, it works though. So, I just feel like you have to use it for something good. I'm like, this is like the good that I'm using it for. And I this kind of happened a little bit with Horizon, a previous series that I did before Excellence, where I found that the characters there, they were better at kind of like managing their own emotions and relationships and forgiving each other, than I was. And I like to write that. Like I kind of, personally, I have a big issue with like forgiveness and forgiving people. So it's kind of cathartic for me to find different ways that, the characters in these books can figure out how to forgive each other and move forward. And that is going to be a big thing for Jackson Hyde going forward, because I think he wants to have some type of functioning relationship with his father ultimately, but at the place that they're at now, that's just not possible. But he has hope.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit of that in the Jeff Johns story that we just had in the Aquaman 80th
in the 80th
special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to me because, and again, this a theme throughout your work, both in Horizon and Excellence, this idea that you choose the people that you can be around, right? You choose who you want in your life. You choose your friends. You don't necessarily choose your family. And that to me is such an interesting aspect of Jackson Hyde. He obviously couldn't choose who his father was.
Right.
He's chosen to spend time with the Curry family, and those are his great relationships that kind of anchor him, and they're his foundation for, and his example to how to be a hero and how to have functioning relationship. But yet, even though he has every reason not to try to have a relationship with his dad, there's something there, like almost a biological need or something to, hey, this is my dad, let's make this work, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for me personally, it's just like, it would be nice to know that your father like is proud of you and appreciates, the things that you've done, and the things that are important to you, are also not important to him, but there's like a respect for kind of shared interests, right? And these relationships are complicated. For as complicated and kind of unpleasant as our relationship between me and my father is, my father introduced me to comics, and that decision changed the entire course of my life for the better. So, there can be all of this stuff that's like, this is not the way it should be. I wish this was different, or this happened a different way. But introducing me to comics has brought so much to my life. I mean, I'm a lifer. I've been here since maybe like 92, whenever Image launched. That's how long I have like been in comics. It's first a reader, and then a letter hack, and then a aspiring writer, then a professional writer. And so, you just kind of have to take it, but you have to take the entirety of the relationship, to consider.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, shifting back to Future State Aquaman and talking about family, Daniel, here we are with Jackson Hyde and with Andy Curry. And this, even though it's a 2-issue series, it spans a number of years. And what's really cool, what I noticed right away, Jackson Hyde looks so different when we first opened up the book. He looked a lot more like Aquaman with the long hair and the beard. And I'm like, whoa, he's kind of channeling Arthur here. But even then, there's flashbacks. We go back to the younger Jackson. We go back to Andy as maybe a young woman, or almost still a child. But then at the end, she's
kind of like a preteen.
Yeah, preteen. But by the end, 6 years have gone by, and she's a young woman. How challenging is it, or is it fun to age up characters like that?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do the designs. I enjoyed this project from the beginning. Having the chance to design all the stuff we did was amazing. I didn't have much opportunities to design stuff since this project. Because usually I was doing like fill-ins or books that were already set. So that was really amazing, and I think was one of the parts that make me feel this project so deep, because I felt like I was doing something more than just drawing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like contributing you're getting to contribute to the story.
yeah, I know I'm not created these characters, but I have a feeling for them, like I are a small part of me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great when I see now all the new stuff that is going to come out. It feels really awesome. It's like your child are growing, you know. I started with the Andy Teen Andy design. I did a first approach and I sent it, and was a hit because it was approved at first attempt. They really like it. So then I moved to Jackson with a younger version too, where I was I had clear that I didn't want to change it that much, because it had not made sense to change it a lot, because the jump of years was not that long.
Mm-hmm.
So I just made a few small adjustments, like the longer hair, and I changed a little bit the suit, but not that much. Then for the grown versions was easier, because Jackson is in a prison, so he doesn't have a new costume. So I thought maybe in a prison he can shave or whatever, so look cool with the long hair and the beard.
Yeah.
And for Andy was pretty much the same, because she is stuck in a some kind of wet paradise, dangerous, and so she doesn't have the chance to change the costume. So I just made a few adjustments, like some parts have been broken, or I added on the shoulder like a
That
fish
was such a
school.
cool design element.
But not crazy changes, you know.
Daniel, I got a question, Daniel. One of the favorite aspects of the Aquaman Future State, I love the sort of like the jellyfish sort of symbiote that sticks to Andy's leg, and the twist way, Brandon, that you wrote that you know, it was kind of disturbing how Andy had to get over. It's like she wouldn't let the creature go, and
Right.
I thought that was just really brilliant and kind of twisted. My question to you, to the two of you, is: did you guys discuss that together? Because visually, it just works so well. And did you have a lot of collaboration, or did you leave the design completely up to Daniel, Brandon, or how did that collaboration work?
A lot of the design stuff was left to Daniel. In regards to the leg, it's just we wear our influences on our sleeves, and to me it was combining these two things. Like, I always loved when Arthur had to cut his own arm off. I forget exactly how it happened. I feel like in the comic it was like piranhas or something,
yeah.
but in the cartoon he actually had to cut it off to save his son. So I was just thinking, like, oh man, I should have Andy like lose a limb, and then that combined with like a lifetime obsession with like Todd McFarlane and Venom. So I'm like, there should be some kind of like twisted symbiotic, relationship between, her and like what is essentially like a living leg. And it was one of those like kind of messed up things that at the beginning, I didn't fully understand it until I got into it and started writing it. And I'm like, oh, the leg should basically be, the leg should be like talking to her and kind of like diminishing her and demoralizing her and saying like, you did a bad thing, and you did a bad thing. And so it was just really it was just something that it was kind of like the gift that keeps on giving. Like, at the beginning it was just like, how could what kind of seminal moments could I take from Arthur's life and have Andy experience them? And it started at the beginning. It was just like, oh, she has to cut her leg off to save Jackson, and that's how they get separated, and we can have this. And look, talking about that page, I was so excited to get that page. I mean, I was so excited to write that page, because sometimes, you always try to hide like a little, like, from the editor if you can, because, you know, I always like the editor being like a little surprised, like, oh, I wasn't expecting that at all. So I knew once Andrea Shea, who edited the book and put us all together, I knew once she got to that page where she cuts her leg off, she was just gonna have a fit and probably start like bawling, crying. So I just knew, I just couldn't wait to see that page. And then when Daniel sent it through, I was just like, this is so amazing. Like people are going to lose their minds when they turn this page and they see her cutting her own leg off and then Jackson just falling, you know. It was just, it was one of those, you know, I write the scripts out of order, sequence wise. And that was like one of the first things I wrote for that script. Like that was like, I need to get this moment right. Otherwise the rest of it, you know, it's inconsequential. It doesn't even matter. But I was so just thrilled with how that came out. And it started from that. And then it turned into this, like you said, this really kind of twisted relationship that she has with this thing that's alive and attached to her. And she kind of accidentally forced it to do that, and then it's basically kind of complaining, you know, the entire time, and like, you're not a good person wouldn't have done that, you should let me go. And so yeah, it was it worked out pretty well. I was very excited about that.
When I read that on the second script, I was like, this man is crazy, but I love it so much. I couldn't believe it was like, this is gonna be so much fun, so weird.
Yeah.
It has to work because it's something new. When I read that, I thought on the bad guy on Terminator 2. The
the T-1000.
So I imagine the fish and the leg with the same kind of look that when he melts in like liquid metal, you know. I tried to do something like that.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that was the idea. What you were asking now about the collaboration, I think that's the key of this project. It really felt like a true collaboration. We talked everything. We keep contact almost every day, sharing ideas. It really was awesome. For example, the monster, the giant monster that has an island on the back.
That was so cool.
This is an example of how I think that comics needs to be made. You know, he told me about a crazy giant monster, and when I designed, I had this idea of putting an island on him. And Brandon loved the idea, and then he told me like, hold on, this has given me an idea for the script, and I think you change a page to adapt to fit the island idea. So it's that page when it seems like an island are following them, and then the monster just came in, and it's I have an idea. Following his idea, and then he have a new idea following mine, and this is like true comic books, you know. It was so exciting.
It was fun, and it was just one of those things where, I mean, I was very kind of wrapped up in it, and I just, you know, I knew I had two issues, and I didn't know what was going to happen in the future. So I was like, this may be the only time like in my life that I get to write, you know, Aquaman, you know, or Jackson Hyde. So I'm going to make it feel like I'm going to try to get everything that I can like into these like 44, like I have 44 pages. Like how much like ridiculous cool stuff can I fit into, you know, just this little tiny frame? And because, you know, it may not happen again. Like I didn't know I was going to, you know, write another Jackson Hyde series and stuff. So
that's right. Don't ask for permission. You know, what do you say? Forgiveness, not permission, right? Just go for it. Right?
Exactly.
And Brandon, you really did that, because what amazes me the most about this project is that when I think about it, it feels like a through volume, a run, you know, and then because so much stuff there going on, and then you think it's just 44 pages. It's incredible.
Yeah, the other part of it Because I feel the same way. I mean, it's such a big story and only 2 issues. And again, all the Future State stuff, with the exception of the Batman stuff, was 2 issues. But that's, I think, why yours stands out head and shoulders above the rest, because you got so much story in there. And we've talked a lot about the cool ideas and a few of the story beats, but we haven't really mentioned this underlying theme, or at least to me, what the story is really all about. And Jackson himself says it in when he's in the prison at one point. And he talks about trauma limiting, like, putting shackles on yourself and selling yourself short because you've been through trauma, which is something that we see a lot in your work, Brandon. But
yes,
actually, my question is, and we'll let you talk about that in a second, Brandon. But visually, like, you had a lot of fun, Daniel, designing this stuff. But this shows your strength as an ability to show emotion. We see it a lot in your Action Comics run that's going on right now. It's one thing to be able to draw these cool things, and Adriano puts on his beautiful colors and everything looks great, but you still have to tell the story. And you touched on it a little bit earlier about from panel to panel, making sure the storytelling works. But the other part of it is the body language and the emotion you put in faces to make sure you sell that theme, that these are traumatic experiences. Jackson and Andy being separated, that's traumatic. Andy cutting off her leg, that's traumatic. The fact that Jackson realizes at some point Andy's coming back, that's a positive moment. So again, my question is that a lot of fun for you to be able to do that sort of character acting? Is it challenging, or is it both?
It's challenging, but at the same time, this kind of heavy drama stuff, it's my favorite to draw. It's when I enjoy the most, when you really need to put all on the page and make. When I enjoy the most is when I draw something that I feel that have chances to make the people feel, and this is a lot of fun for me. And if I am able to do that and handle it this way, is because I learned a lot from my friend Bruno Redondo. I need to send shoutouts to him. I worked a lot with him and Tom Taylor on Injustice 2. I was there for like 2 years, and then we did some other books like Suicide Squad.
A great book.
Yeah. I think Bruno is a storytelling and acting genius. I really think so. He expresses the emotions like anyone else. And the fact that I was working with him on the same comic book sharing issues for a couple of years really pushed me to level up my acting and my storytelling work. Otherwise, it had looked so bad at his side. So I really worked really hard for a long time to improve this part of my work, and I started to feeling well about it. And now it's one of the parts that I enjoy the most, when I draw strong emotions or big impact.
Yeah, well, it definitely shows in the Future State series, and also in your Superman work, which has been fantastic.
Thank you.
You wanted to comment on the trauma limiting
aspect? Yeah. It's the thing that shows up in a lot of things that I do. And for Jackson in this particular story, what I wanted to really dive into was a feeling of failure. There is a lot, basically, when you see he and Andy's relationship at the beginning, I wanted Andy to almost be like a vessel for kind of certain parts of the fandom or the readership, where Andy is also of the mind state where, like, you're not Aquaman, my dad's Aquaman. Like, what is that about? Like, who made that decision? So, Jackson having to internalize and kind of process, but still function when there are a lot of people that feel the way that she does, and not in like a kind of annoying teenager way, in a much more kind of like aggressively kind of negative way. I wanted to see how he would navigate that. The point of the story is basically Jackson basically feels like he has one job. His one job is to get Andy home to her parents. On top of everything else, that's what he's supposed to do. and he feels that he failed in that, and it completely crushes and destroys and demoralizes him and puts him in a place where, you know, he doesn't even, he's we have this theme where he keeps like escape, you know, trying to escape the prison, but at a certain point it's almost just kind of like out of habit. You know, does he, yeah, he really wants to escape, but there's just a part of him that feels like he deserves to be down there. You know, he lost Andy. The one thing he was supposed to do, he failed at. And, you know,
one job.
Yeah, one job. And the, you know, and then the cool thing about it that we find out is that, you know, he didn't fail her. And that everything that he gave her while they were, you know, together and partners, that's what kept her alive so that she could ultimately rescue him.
Right.
So it's basically, like I said, a big thing about a lot of my stuff, it's about forgiveness. It's about people forgiving themselves and forgiving other people. And once, you know, I just love that opening scene where, you know, the guards catch up to him and he's just laughing hysterically and we don't know why. And it's just, I just love that moment because for him, it was like, oh man, I was wrong. It's like, I thought, you know, like I didn't fail her. So, you know, they, in essence, they saved each other. You know, he saved her by giving her the lessons and the things that she would need to survive this completely isolating, traumatic, horrible experience. And then she used those, you know, gifts and lessons to rescue him. So, you know, that was just what, that's just kind of what I wanted from the story. You know, I wanted this sense of catharsis, and it's great that, you know, what Daniel mentions the collaboration. Another, you know, great story is that in the first issue where we have Jackson kind of escaping the prison, that was initially a 2-page spread, but I was so crunched for space. Like I just didn't have space for anything. And I had to like crunch that down to 1 page. And Daniel was like, you know, Daniel was like, oh, can you make that a double page? You know, and Daniel, I can't. It's like, but then it became a double page splash when they escaped together in the second issue.
Right. Yep.
So then it was even more appropriate at that spot than it was at the beginning. And so it just, you know, this experience working together was just amazing. And I just, you know, and I think you can tell, I love making comics. I love writing comics. Sometimes when I'm in the middle of it, so the process stuff, some of that stuff I don't like when I feel confused and I'm like, why can't I get this down to 3 pages? But when the art starts coming back and when the colors start coming in and when the letters go in and every stage of the process, it is awesome. It is really awesome. And it is really exciting to watch kind of like a comic come together. And doing comics has given me such a, like, I know, you know, a lot of people will say like, oh, I hate comics now because I do them. And I'm like, I am the complete opposite. Like doing comics has given me such a higher level of appreciation for like good and great comics that it is just because I know how like difficult it is. You know, there are time constraints, there are space constraints, there's like, you know, personality constraints. You know, it's like, oh, this is the scene, you know, I wrote that day where I wasn't really feeling it and I felt dumb and I couldn't figure it out. So it's all of that kind of wrapped in one thing. And when it works, it's amazing. It is like magic. It is like a magic trick to see a page from Daniel come back. And it's like what I saw in my head. And it feels impossible. It's like, how could he have like brought something to life that was like trapped in my head and like on the pages of a Word document? And it's amazing. I just love it. And we had such a great time. And I will, you know, work with these guys at the first drop of the hat.
I gotta give you a compliment because one of the things about Aquaman Future State, and I really felt it was equally Aquawoman Future State too, is that it actually ended on a sense of hope. It actually ended on a sense of excitement. A lot of the future state, well, it was intended to be a little bit dark and depressing and what have you. So, but I want to give a shout out to Dan. You tweeted something. You tweeted a gorgeous picture of Action Comics 1036 between Lois Lane and Superman. They're up in front of the moonlight there, and you tweeted, "Oh yes, they are." And I'm just wondering if this was the day of, if the Comics Code Authority was still in effect. I got to tell you, I really like that picture. I was wondering if you could just give a quick comment. How much did you enjoy drawing those scenes? And is there anything that you couldn't publish?
I think it's open for interpretation. Maybe she was just warm and get rid of the shit. You know, it's you can think whatever you want. It's.
Well, you say that they are. You admitted it right on Twitter, and you drew it. So I'm just assuming.
No, I just said yes. Yeah, they are flying.
That's
awesome.
That's fantastic. You know, I'm not a comic creator by any stretch of the imagination, but Brandon, when you're describing that sort of being in the middle of it and being in the weeds, so to speak, and then having it all come together, I do golf. And there are times when, man, you can't hit a ball straight or strike it correctly at all. But then you hit that one good shot, 2-3 good shots around, and you remember why you do it, right? It's like kind of the same thing.
It is just, it's awesome. It's awesome. I kind of, tell my editors, like, the kind of doing it, sometimes that's not enjoyable, because to me, I want it to be easier. You always just want it to be easier, right? And it's easier than it was a few years ago, but it's still not easy. Like I'm, it's easier and I'm faster. But to me, like, I just have this vision where it's like, oh man, if I could just do like a perfect script, like in, like a day and a half, like, how long is it going to take me to get to that? Yeah. And it's just, that's one of the reasons, kind of process-wise, why I write out of order, because I write the things that are kind of most exciting to me in that moment. And sometimes it's like a fight scene, sometimes it's a big kind of like conversation or like a confrontation scene, or sometimes it's the hug scene. My books are just like filled with hugs, like I've just found out, and I'm just, kind of just let it be. It's like everyone is hugging in my books, and I'm just like, I think that's good. I think that's a good, kind of trope for me to be using. But I just want to have that heart at the center of it that actually makes it mean something, that makes like the fights and the action and the dismemberment actually mean something, right? And so I want it to be hard to pick like your favorite thing, because it's always easiest to like pick the fight or pick the action scene. So I just always want to try to make it difficult for people to kind of pick their favorite scene or their favorite aspect of it. And it's just like, if I can make someone be like, oh man, yeah, the action scene was super cool, but I loved when they hugged at the end, like I loved when, she was like crying and like he hugged her and told her that it was going to be okay. And, that's a favorite of our editor, Andrea, love that scene. So it's great. I mean, I could talk forever about it. I love it. I love making these things. And when you make them with people like Daniel and Adriano and Andrea, it's easy, easy, but it's easy.
Right. It goes back to something that Daniel said earlier about when he's doing the body language and the facial expressions. You want to be sure you're making the reader feel something. And I got to think, we've mentioned Action Comics a couple times here, Daniel, your current project, and we know that you only have a couple issues to go, and then you're moving on to another unannounced thing. But I feel like you nailed it so much on this future state Aquaman that had to probably have contributed to you, being invited to be on Superman. So how has that been? I mean, this is the first one, right? The first superhero, Superman. I mean, that's got to be like a notch on your belt. Yes, I had a run on Superman. That must have been fantastic for you to get that call.
Yeah, it was amazing. One of the best moments my career, for sure. it felt like a dream come true, because it's Superman, and also it's one of my favorite Batman, Superman, always my two favorites. So it was incredible. I was still doing the last pages of the Aquaman Future State when I received the proposal to start doing Action Comics after, and I couldn't believe at first time. I looked like an idiot, because my agent called me by the phone and told me, hey, they are offering you Action Comics. So what do you think? And I was like blocked. My mind froze, and I told him, I don't know. I need to think about it. I'll talk to my girlfriend and I'll let you know. Then
Happy wife, happy life.
he was on the phone like, what? Okay, do whatever you want and call me back later. I went to my girlfriend and I said, we need to talk. I need your advice. They are offering me Superman. And she told me, and what exactly we need to talk about? And I was like, oh yeah, maybe you're right. I said, okay, hold on. I need one more opinion. I'm gonna call my friend Bruno Redondo. I call him, hey Bruno, what's up? Hey, they are offering me Action Comics, and I would like to talk about it. And he said exactly the same. And what we need to talk about. And I said, okay, I think I'm an idiot. I'm gonna call my agent and say yes, please.
Well, I mean, in your defense, Daniel, that is a lot of pressure, right? I mean, Action Comics. This is the first superhero, the first superhero comic.
Yeah, I'm being like joking now, but the first couple of weeks were pretty rough. I really felt the pressure. First pages were really hard because I felt like I wasn't doing good enough. I redraw a lot, same panels. I was feeling like, I don't know how you say in English, like an imposter syndrome or something like that. Like, I think maybe that they gave me that by mistake, and in every moment I can receive an email telling me, sorry, Daniel, it was not for you. Sorry, the confusion. But a few days later, I started to settle and keep calm and start to thinking, okay, I think I just need to keep doing what I've been doing in Aquaman and the other projects, and everything will be fine. So
I think it's fair to say. I think it's fair to say that you're very, very good at what you do. And look, I can only imagine how impressed they must be. Certainly as impressed as us fans are, us readers who get to look at your art. It's beautiful. But if they're removing you off Action Comics, I'm thinking it must be a real crisis event that they're sending you to. That's what I'm hoping. Can you give us any hint as to where they're sending you, or are you under like tight lips?
Same as the love page of Action Comics. It's open for interpretation.
All right, let me ask you this.
I'm really sorry. I wish so bad to talk about it, but I'm not allowed.
Oh, okay. Well, let me ask you this.
It'll be exciting. Don't worry.
Okay. How about this? Just tell me, Daniel, who is your favorite DC villain? Who is your favorite DC villain? To draw, if you could draw that you haven't drawn yet.
Maybe Darkseid.
Woohoo! I'll take that as a hint.
No. It's my favorite villain, but this doesn't mean anything else.
You fell into my trap. I trapped you.
Darkseid is.
Well, hopefully, Daniel, when it does get announced, I mean, I'm really excited. You know, the announcement about your first ever exclusive with DC Comics, super exciting. You know, and I'll add my congratulations to the congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Well deserved. Yes.
Very much well deserved. So we'll have to have you back on. I'm sure you're super busy with this project, and you know, whether it's an event or an ongoing, you know, I can't wait to find out. Love to have you back on to chat about it when the time comes. So just so everybody knows, there's 2 more issues of Action Comics that have Daniel's artwork. Next issue comes out September 28th, and then his final issue, which is 1036, comes out October the 26th. Brandon's upcoming title, Aquaman, Becoming, which is really, bridging that gap. Is he?
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
And Diego's artwork on that looks fantastic as well.
It does.
Yeah, it really does. But again, you're drawing from some of the themes on some of the things of that possible future we saw in Aquaman Future State. That conversation that Andy and Jackson have early on. She, like you said earlier, Brandon, kind of the voice of the fan. You're not Aquaman, you're Aqualad, and she, and then conversely, she tells him,
yes, exactly.
Aqualass, I'm Aquawoman. So Aquaman, the Becoming, can't wait to explore and see Jackson Hyde really start to grow. And the teaser story you had, which mentions Apocalypse in the Aquaman 80th anniversary, has me intrigued. So September 21st, everybody.
21st,
of
so pretty soon, coming up.
The Becoming. And then we also have to mention, we've talked about it a few times here, your excellent series. And just like having Daniel back on to talk about his project, we could have you back on to talk for excellence about 2-3 hours easily, Brandon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, we'll get Kari and just be here all day.
Exactly.
I'm waiting for mine. I'm waiting for my copy to arrive.
For the Kickstarter, yeah. So that is coming. That is coming back.
Those will actually be coming pretty soon. Like I signed the book plates and stuff for that a couple of weeks ago. So that is I think we're still on schedule for this fall. I think it was maybe October-ish. I can't remember the exact date, but it'll be awesome. I can't
wait to have mine.
I'm so excited that we went ahead and put the first 9 issues in there, because we were just going back and forth. It's like, should we do 6? And to me, I'm like, well, this is the oversized hardcover, right? And that's supposed to come with more issues than the standard trade. So, let's do 9. So, I'm really excited for people to get their hands on that, because just the PDF, like the proof, it is gorgeous. Like the design work that Andres, who designs, the single issues. And I thought, because it was me, I thought that he was just going to reuse most of the kind of assets and visuals and stuff that we had used before. But because it's Andres, he's like, no, I want to do like completely different stuff, and it's still going to be awesome. So I'm really excited for you guys to see the actual kind of like interiors and the guts, and how the behind the scenes kind of commentary sections look. It's really, really gorgeous. It's going to look good.
Yeah. And then for fans of excellence, super exciting news. This episode is going to drop on Monday on Labor Day, but just a couple days later, new comic book day. What's the date? The 8th, I think it is. We're getting another issue of Excellence. It's been quite a little while. I know you and Kari with all this, which it's a great problem to have, right? All this demand of other stuff.
Yeah. Basically, COVID combined with a little more kind of notoriety kind of, blasted our schedule into smithereens, but we're going to get it back where it needs to be. And we're working on issue 12 now, which is, if people were shocked by what happened in issue 6 and kind of how everything got turned upside down, 12, there are moments in, these upcoming issues that I've like had in my head for like 3 or 4 years now. So like, I'm so excited to finally get this stuff on the page and out to you guys. And I think you're really going to be like, they're doing what now? So,
Yeah, and fantastic. It's a fantastic series. Everybody gets my highest possible recommendation. I mean, you really can't go wrong with going and picking up books that either of these guys have worked on. Like,
thank you.
Excellence, Noble,
amazing writing, great art.
And Daniel's work in Justice, he mentioned. Obviously his
Suicide
work
Squad.
That Justice League annual, everybody that you see behind me. I mean, just go and look at that. It's beautiful. And then obviously Aquaman Future State, kind of the crowning jewel of what you guys have done together for your collaboration, which is just fantastic. So we really appreciate the time. We know how busy you guys are. So as we're winding up here, why don't you let everybody know where they can follow you online, so they know when you have new work coming out and interact and such. So we'll start with you, Daniel. Where's the best place to to follow you online?
I have 2 accounts. I have Instagram, where I often put the artwork and some work in progress and stuff. It's like Daniel, I don't know how to say the low bar. Daniel
underscore?
Yeah,
Underscore.
Sampere _ art. And then you can follow me on Twitter. It's Sampere _ art.
Great. And how about you, Brandon?
Similar on Twitter and Instagram. I am at bwrites247, BWRITES 247, and that's me on Twitter and Instagram. And I will stop by occasionally. Not as much as I would like. It's so funny because sometimes I'm like, oh, we're talking about Jackson today. Like, I want to get in there and participate and respond to people. It's like, you got Jackson's script to finish, so just like it and then go back to what you're supposed to be doing. So, but yeah, everything will, get announced there. I also have a Aquaman Green Arrow series called Deep Target, which launches in I believe October, which is going to be a cool, just kind of action movie with these two, hard-headed, egotistical, self-righteous superheroes having an adventure together that they didn't expect. And I'm also writing Hardware and some other stuff coming up too.
You really have blown up, and congratulations on that. And yeah, we love Hardware as well. We didn't even get to mention that. So yeah, I know you're busy, man, but I'm going to give it about maybe a month or 6 weeks. I'm going to be bugging you again.
Okay. All right.
There's
all right. I have like a date circled in about a month or something. Like, this is when I get control of the schedule. So this is like,
yeah, fantastic. So again, guys, congratulations on Aquaman Future State, and congratulations on all your success. It's so well deserved, and we really appreciate the time. So all you listeners, be sure that you go and give them a follow on social media. If you're having a hard time finding them, just go to the show notes. I'll put links to both the Instagram and the Twitters for both of them there. So if you're having trouble finding them, you can go and give them a follow, and be sure you're picking up Action Comics. Be sure you're picking up Hardware. And don't forget, like we always say, the best thing you can do to help these guys out and the rest of the creative team that they're working with on their projects is to pre-order the books. Let your retailers know that you want those books before they're in the shop. Certainly pick them up that Wednesday if you haven't pre-ordered, but be sure you pre-order as well. That gives your retailer an idea to know what to order. And it's such a lead time for comics, right? 2 months from when things are being created to when they actually hit the shelves. So if you want these guys to continue making great stuff, we need to know the demand is there, and you can pre-order to let DC Comics know. So again, guys, we really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
For you listeners.
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate you following along with us as always, and we couldn't do it without you, and wouldn't do it if we were just talking to the void.
My pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. My pleasure.
So thanks for joining us.
Congratulations again, Daniel.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Congratulations to you too.
Thank you. I can't wait to see the thing we can't talk about, but
yep. All of us very excited to see it.
Yeah.
So thanks again to all you listeners for joining us, and we will talk to you next time.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, bye. Thanks.